122, blessed quietness. Blessed quietness, holy quietness, what assurance in my soul. Yes. Let me say it's time to start, so we will start. Let me tell our online audience, good evening. To the ones under the sound of my voice here in the room, good evening. Once again, it is good to be here. Regardless of what anybody say, it's good to be here. It's good to be here. I'm looking at an old song that's in this hymn book, Blessed Quietness. You know, when things are going the way they're going, we still got to understand that joys are still flowing. Regardless of what's going on, you all, we got to go on. We got to go on. And like my grandmama said, I'm just going to go on and see what the end going to be. I'm just going to go on anyway. Yes, we're just going to go on because God is still in control. Regardless of what's going on within the country, within the city, within the nation, within the world, he's still in control. So if you all don't mind helping me sing this song, Blessed Quietness, the verse, joys are flowing like a river since the Comforter has come. He abides with us forever. Make the trusting heart his home. Blessed quietness, a holy quietness, what assurance in my soul. On the stormy sea, Jesus speaks to me, and the billows cease to roll. Yes, yes. It's just something about when every so often some of them old songs just come on me. You know, I can remember coming out of, I was telling you I was working in Mobile, and I was coming out of Mobile and tired, trying to get home. It's late evening, and a song hit me. I sung that song. When you know anything about Mobile, you go across this bridge, we call it the Dolly Parton Bridge. You go across that bridge and you're going, but then all of a sudden you go through all these different cities. But I'm going down this road and I'm singing this song, and it's so amazing. I didn't realize it until I got to Birmingham. I don't remember going through none of those cities. I don't remember going through Montgomery. I don't remember going through Greenwood, none of that stuff. But I tell you, I just kept on singing. If y'all ever sung a song that you kept on singing? Yeah. Yeah. And the song was He's Sweet, I Know. He's sweet, I know. Yes, Lord. He's sweet, I know. Dark clouds may rise and strong winds may blow, but I tell the world wherever I go, I have found a Savior, and He's sweet, I know. I just kept on singing it. I just kept on singing that song, you all. And it's just something about it, what it hit me. And then next thing I know, I was in Birmingham. And it scared me. Why did it scare me? Because I don't remember going through them cities. So he had to been carrying me the whole time while I'm going through there. You all, this time, here we are now in another praise service. We call it Bible study. Here we are in another praise service. We call it prayer meeting. And it's a portion in here for scripture. So if anyone will have a scripture they would like to read for us today, then you can go to the middle back there and the mic is on the stand.
Good evening, church. This scripture is Romans chapter 1. I'm going to start at verse 16. For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God to salvation for everyone who believes, for the Jew first and also for the Greek. For in it the righteousness of God is revealed from faith to faith. As it is written, the just shall live by faith. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who suppress the truth in unrighteousness, because what may be known of God is manifest in them, for God has shown it to them. For since the creation of the world, his invisible attributes are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. Because although they knew God, they did not glorify him as God, nor were thankful, but became futile in their thoughts, and their foolish hearts were darkened. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading, hearing, and understanding of his word. That was Romans chapter 1, verses 16 through 21.
Yes. Are there any other scriptures would like to be read at this time?
I will be reading from John 14th chapter, starting with the first verse. And this is in red, so the Lord is speaking.
Yes.
Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in me, believe also. Ye believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. And where I go, ye know, and the way you know. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading of his word. I read for you verses 1 through 4.
We're going to tell people to come on in. Come on in. Yes, goodness. Y'all come on down. As you come down, prepare. We have any other scriptures like to be read today. Well, as you prepare and get your scriptures ready, I'll go ahead and read one. Philippians, the 4th chapter, beginning at the 4th verse, it say, rejoice in the Lord always. And again, I say rejoice. Let your moderation be known unto all men. The Lord is at hand. Be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving. Let your requests be made known unto God. And the peace of God, which passes all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. Finally, my brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things. Those things which we have both learned and received and heard and seen in me, do, and God of peace shall be with you. I just read from the 4th verse down through the 9th verse of the 4th chapter of Philippians. May God add a blessing to the reading of his word. I know there are some more scriptures to be read, and you come up to the podium right there. Would anybody have any other scriptures? Any other scriptures? Well, if it's no other scriptures, it's prayer time. It's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. Yes, It's me, it's me, it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. Come on, you all. It's me, it's me, it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. It's me, it's me, it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. Is it you that's standing in the need of prayer? Well, someone we have, we have some sick and shed in that we want to make sure that we pray for them. We're going to pray for our city. We're going to pray for the state of Alabama, pray for our country and the nation at large in the world. Those are the prayers that's needed. But does anyone would like to come and lift us up starting out right now? If not, y'all know I pray all day. And it's amazing. I was on my porch earlier looking at the trees and praying. So let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come once again thanking you for all that you have done. I always say all that you are doing and all that you're going to do. We just pause right now to tell you again, thank you. Here we are again in our Wednesday midweek service. And Heavenly Father, you always, in the word to say a man should always pray. So you need a praying church, and we're here praying, Lord, lifting you up one more time. It has been requested when I stated that we're praying for members of Lily Baptist Church. You know them individually. We can call them out by name, but you know them, Lord, and we lift them all up. We lift each and every member that's been that's been sick and shed in also. Heavenly Father, you have some that just got out the hospital, and we would like to thank you also for delivering them back home. We have some that's still in. And we ask for some guidance, Heavenly Father, for the doctors. We pray for the medicine these people are preparing to take, Heavenly Father. That is the right prescriptions that's being delivered. Heavenly Father, but here we are right now. Every time we turn the news on, it's misery that's happening in the city of Birmingham. And we praying mightily for our city, Heavenly Father. Heavenly Father, we always say, let us come together. But we know in that scripture where it says, my people. Now we know we got to do some turning, you all. That's one of the things that we got to do. And guess who it started with? Each and every one of us. We got to turn. And if we call ourselves the church has to turn. The church has to go outside of these walls, Heavenly Father, and be able to reach out and tell some young boy, some young girl that the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life. And give them some hope, Lord. Heavenly Father, then will you asking to give us the strength and also the vision, Heavenly Father, and the know-how, how to go, when to go, and where to go. Heavenly Father, we're also requesting, Heavenly Father, that in our nation right now, that some healing happen, that we bring us closer and closer together, Heavenly Father, that all the bickering and hatred, Heavenly Father, that we can put it on a back burner, put it on the back seat. We know it's not going away as long as we're in this world, Heavenly Father, but at least we want to slow it down. And how can we slow it down, Heavenly Father? It's through you. We know that all things happen through Christ, Lord. Heavenly Father, we're going to lift you up right now. Heavenly Father, we look into the world and what's going on. We got shellings and bombings here. But you said it was going to be wars and rumors of wars. But you're the one that's able to get into the hearts of man, for man to be able to come together as one. And we ask them to come together as one, Heavenly Father. But let's come on back home, Lord. Let's come to Lily Baptist Church. We ask to put us together as one, Heavenly Father. Bring us, we're asking a special blessing, Heavenly Father, on this church. We are searching for a pastor. And you're the one that's able to guide us and tell us the direction we need to go. Here we are right now. We have an interim that's doing a tremendous job, Heavenly Father. We're constantly asking you to crown his head with the wisdom and knowledge necessary to lead thy people. And Heavenly Father, may we receive the message that's coming from the leaders, Heavenly Father. We just love you, honor, and praise you. In Jesus' name we do pray. Amen. You all is there any others like to lift us up in prayer? Are there any others? Is there any songs that want to be sung? Any scriptures want to be read? So you don't have no prayer, no song, and no scripture. I always got a prayer. I always got a song. Pass me not, O gentle Savior. Yes, Lord. Hear my humble cry. While on others thou art calling, Master, do not pass me by. I'm crying a Savior, yes, my Savior, yes, hear my humble cry. While on others thou art calling, Master, do not pass me by. So here we are. We've had the prayer. We've had scripture. We've had songs. But we also opened it up for testimonies. So we always have room if there is a testimony that someone would like to share with us today, or just just a word. And what's so amazing about a testimony? One of the greatest testimonies everybody in here can say, he woke us up this morning. Oh, yeah. Is that a testimony? Oh, yeah. Yes. Then we're here, so it's evidence he clothes us in our right mind. That's a testimony. So if anyone have a testimony like to share with us, we are preparing to be taught again by Pastor Manuel, the person that's right now covering this pulpit. And you all, we need to pray for him mightily. We need to pray for the man of God mightily. Reverend Manuel, are you ready? Oh, now, he say he's ready, you all. So we're going to make sure you're ready. Yes, goodness. So we're going to cover you. We're going to pray that everything is what's going on with you in your head. So let us pray. Heavenly Father, we're praying for Reverend Manuel as he come up. Yeah. Heavenly Father, we're praying that you call back the remembrance of things that he's studied. Not to leave them out, but when he expresses them to us, it's what you want us to hear. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Yes.
And that's exactly the prayer I needed. That some things will be brought back to my remembrance. Hey, Lyle, can I get you to do something for me? Can I get you to grab the Zyle? That's why he didn't know I was talking to him, right? Zyle, I need you to grab the handouts that are on the podium there and make sure everybody has a handout. That way we can all see what's going on. And please forgive me for butchering your name there, Zyle. I know what that feels like, which is why I have people call me by my initials instead of my name, because a lot of folks are not going to be able to pronounce Domikia. Domikia. Deacon Johnson said, yeah, you're right. Yeah, it was decided when I wrote my first book that nobody was going to be able to find, I don't need one, but someone's coming in, right? That I needed to make sure that I used my initials because nobody was going to be able to find Domikia online. So that's what we went with. All right, tonight we're going to try to wrap up. This is the final session of the Church Revitalization Workshop. Originally, I think I shared this with you before. Originally, I created this workshop because I knew that a lot of our churches needed help. How can I put this? I know hundreds of pastors. I have visited a lot of churches. I've participated in the state convention. I've had maybe thousands of conversations, and I realized there were just some common things our churches needed. And so I took various workshops and put them together, and this last session actually leads into a whole nother series of workshops, but this one I think is the one that's the most important. This is a session where we're going to talk about in-reach, engagement, outreach, and evangelism. You've got a lot of blanks that you're going to need to fill out, so I'm not going to try to go too fast, but I will be moving a little bit. There is a microphone in the middle if anyone would be willing to read some of the scriptures that we're going to show. But let's hop in tonight and let's get started. As I've let you know, here's the agenda that we're going to talk about: in-reach and engagement, engagement channels, empowering engagement, outreach, evangelism, and we're breaking evangelism down into personal witnessing, congregational campaigns, and community canvassing. And then we're going to talk about empowering evangelism, and we'll be done. And that's the introduction. I think we've already introduced ourselves. So let's hop right in. In-reach and engagement. Engagement is the new measuring stick. Did y'all hear me? Engagement is the new measuring stick. I need one person to go to 1 Peter chapter 5, verses 1 through 4. And I need another person to go to Matthew chapter 18, verses 12 through 14. 1 Peter chapter 5, 1 through 4. And then Matthew chapter 18, verses 12 through 14. And if you don't mind, please come to the mic and read that for us. This passage in 1 Peter is one of my favorites because it taught me so much when I took time to really examine it.
Good evening. 1 Peter chapter 5, verses 1 through 4 speaks of the shepherd, the flock. The elders who are among you I exhort. I who am a fellow elder and a witness of the sufferings of Christ, and also a partaker of the glory that will be revealed. Shepherd the flock of God, which is among you, serving as overseers, not by compulsion, but willingly, not for dishonest gain, but eagerly, nor as being lords over those entrusted to you, but being examples to the flock. And when the chief shepherd appears, you will receive the crown of glory that does not fade away. May God add a blessing to the reading of his word.
Thank you. That is wonderful. Let me pause before we get to the Matthew passage, and let me just talk about this a little bit. One of the things that happened during the pandemic, and I think I talked about this in the very first session of this workshop, was that a lot of our churches got exposed. We got exposed because when it came time for us to engage with people, to reach people, to talk to people, we found out we weren't actually doing the job. And what I mean by that is, it's so easy to believe that you're doing a great job as a pastor if people show up on Sunday. You see them, you speak to them on Sunday, you say hello, you maybe ask them how everybody in the family is doing, and you're doing before church and after church and in the hallway, you're doing, ministry work by engaging with people. And so what happened was, we were always thinking as long as people came to church, we were engaging with them and we were doing the job of a pastor. And if somebody told us that somebody was sick, we go visit them and that kind of thing. So we thought we were doing the job. But once the churches were closed, a lot of our churches, a lot of our pastors, and church leaders figured out, oh, wait, doing the actual job is hard work, because now I can't just wait on everybody to come and show up at church. I got to go to them. I have to call them. I have to text them. I have to send a letter to them. I have to try to engage with them. And there are a lot of pastors who experienced burnout during the pandemic because they weren't used to doing that level of work on a day-to-day basis. And so when he says here in 1 Peter 5 that those elders should take the oversight thereof, how can you oversee somebody's life if you're not seeing somebody's life? How can you guide somebody and be an example to the flock if the flock has never seen you outside the pulpit? How can you be the person that's helping people deal with life issues if you're not really a part of their life? And so we found out that it really takes some work. That's engagement. It was easier, correct me if I'm wrong, those of you who are septenarians and octenarians and on up, it was easier 60, 70 years ago when people went to the same church that was in their neighborhood, because you saw the same people all the time. You saw them during the week. You had conversations with them during the week. You may have worked with them, things like that. It's not like that anymore. We have people who come from all over in different places who attend our churches now, so we don't see those people during the week unless they come to like a midweek service. So what used to be natural engagement, natural conversations, natural stopping by so-and-so's house and things like that, where, you know, I still hear the stories. I've never experienced it, but I still hear the stories about people used to invite the pastor to come over for dinner at their house. Child, wouldn't nobody invite me to come to their house? Not in this day and time. But the issue is, those were natural touch points of engagement that we don't do anymore. And so what we thought we were doing, we were measuring our churches by butts and seats. We were measuring churches by attendance. How many showed up Sunday? That's not the measuring stick anymore. The measuring stick is actual engagement. And I say that because I saw during the pandemic some people engage more in the church through what they were doing online than when they were inside the pews. Members who did not come to church every Sunday were now watching every Sunday and watching every Wednesday and participating in prayer calls on Tuesday and email lists. They were engaged and they were giving consistently because they were giving online. A lot of things changed. And so those individuals, I actually counted them to be more faithful than the ones that showed up. We had members, we had a person join Greater Friendship who lived in Florida. I looked online today and I was flipping through some social media posts, and I came across a post from Greater Friendship. And there, the first comment I saw was from this gentleman in Florida. He said, "Good morning, church family." It's folk who lived in Tuskegee I didn't even see during the entire pandemic, but this guy was involved with every single thing. Engagement, a faithful member. So engagement is the new measuring stick. We need to understand how this engagement works. We need to understand what we're measuring, because it's also very important. Now, can I get somebody to read Matthew 18, 12 through 14? And if you don't mind, will you come to the mic so that those online can hear? Matthew chapter 18, verses 12 through 14. Anybody? Everybody? Somebody? Oh, you know what? Listen, you stay right there. I'm going to bring the mic to you. Listen. It just takes me a while to get over here. It's all right. I appreciate you.
Matthew 18, verses 12 through 14.
Yes, ma'am.
How think ye if a man have 100 sheep, and one of them be gone astray, doth he not leave the 99 and goeth into the mountains and seeketh that which was gone astray? And if so, the light's not good, that he find it. Verily I say unto you, he rejoiceth more at that sheep, than in the 99 which went not astray. Even so, it is not the will of your Father which is in heaven, that one of these little ones should perish.
Wow. Thank you. It is not God's will that any of our folks perish. It is not God's will that any of our folks are lost. And the question is, are we going out to get them? Are we making the effort to reach out to them? Are we constantly inviting them? Are we trying to engage with them? Are we encouraging them to engage with the church? And not just because we're wanting something from them, because some people have this thing, they think the church is always asking for something. Sometimes the church needs to be given something. Sometimes the church needs to be saying, hey, I'm calling you up. Yes, I want to invite you to church, but let me pray for you. You know, how can I help you in this season? There has to be a going out and getting. See, a lot of times, you know, people think about, you know, counting money. Jesus counted sheep. So if there's one missing, and I say this because I've heard it said, and I'm still hearing it said. I'm hearing church leaders say, our people ain't coming back because they watching online. Okay, so you got 10 people watching online and you acting like 50 ain't coming back because all 50 watching online? I don't think so. And some of them are not coming back because the church didn't show that they care about them. Okay? So we got to understand that this is important. Engagement is the new measuring stick. In your blanks there, your engagement needs to be meaningful. It needs to be meaningful for the church. It needs to be meaningful for the person you're engaging with. Again, we're not just always calling asking for something. It needs to be meaningful. If you call up one of the sisters that hadn't been here for a while, find out what's going on in that sister's life. Make it a person-centered call. It's not about me and it's not about the church. It's about that sister and it's about her spiritual health. We have to consider that some people just need a little encouragement and some people need just a little help. They got other life issues and they don't see the church stepping up to help them with their life issues. Okay? It needs to also be consistent. Don't call me once a year when it's Men's Day and ask for my donation. You need to be contacting me on a regular basis. I need to know that you're always thinking about me. I'm just going to I'm putting it out there. That's how people think. If the church is not going to be consistent, then what happens? Here come the church. They're always asking for something. I know somebody who quit a church, who stopped attending a church, a large church, because every time they looked up, somebody from the Missionary Society was asking for money. Donate to this, give to that. And she said, I just got tired of them always asking me. I got tired of them hounding me for money. They weren't actually doing anything else to enrich the person's life. So you got to be consistent. You need to be deliberate. Okay, it cannot be happenstance. You actually have to make a conscious decision that I'm going to reach out to this person, or I'm going to reach out to these people, or I'm going to try to contact this person, or I'm going to try to encourage this person. It needs to be deliberate. It's not just going to happen because we talk about it. Did y'all hear that? We can talk about it for weeks, but if no deliberate action is taken, it's really just not going to happen. That shepherd that's looking for that lost sheep, he had to make a deliberate decision to get up. I've counted them all. One of them's missing. Under shepherds, y'all watch. I'm going to get mine. Okay? It has to be deliberate. Thank you. Thank you, Lord. He didn't send. He went. And some of us are connected to people in the church And we're hoping somebody sins when we should have went. You know that the deacon so-and-so don't know sister so-and-so as well as you do. How come you're not the one that's reaching out to her? Are you just waiting on somebody else to do it? It also needs to be non-invasive, meaning, hey, be respectful of people's time. Be respectful of how they want to be approached. You know, on our new church website, lilybaptistchurch.com, on the Become a Member form, it has on there, hey, which way do you want us to communicate with you? Is it okay that we text you or call you or send you an email? Whatever you tell us is what we'll do. We're not going to be invasive. Okay? So, and it also needs to be inclusive. It has to be for everybody. We can't just go after the people we like. We can't just reach out to the people we miss. We need to reach out to everybody. Everybody needs to be included. Everybody is important. If he has 199 are there and one went away, that one was important. Every individual in our church and every individual that's connected to our church is important. And by the way, we need to be prepared when we start engaging with people. We need to be prepared to hear the reasons why they're not coming or why they won't participate, and not flinch and not become defensive. Sometimes you just need to hear it. You need to hear it. You need to soak it in. You need to let it marinate. Don't get your first answer, because some of us will bow up. I don't want to be talking about our church like that, brother. And why you said you can't come to the church because it and the other, but you did it. No. Not if you're trying to reach somebody. So we have to be very careful about how we deal with people. What are your thoughts about all of this with engagement? Let me ask this. Do you feel like we're doing enough? I mean, Lily is doing a lot. Hey, Lily is doing a lot. Okay? The Lily Light was getting mailed out during the pandemic. We still try to make it available to people. You got a new website. You're encouraging people to be a part of social media. You're streaming online. You're doing a lot. But what I hear y'all saying is we can probably do a little more. And maybe you're looking up here and saying, well, maybe we haven't been as consistent. Maybe we haven't been as deliberate. But there are things we can do to begin to engage. And when I say engage, I'm talking about to the people who are already connected to Lily, in reach, the members who are not here, the members who haven't been back, the members who are the, once every 3 months, our CME members, the ones that only come for Christmas, Mother's Day, and Easter, okay? We need to make sure that we understand these are things that we need to be doing for our people, because we are all one body in Christ, okay? So here are the engagement channels. And this is 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 22. I have become all things to all men that I might by all means save some. Did you hear what Paul said? If you read the whole thing, he says, to the Jew I became a Jew, to the Greek I became a Greek. But he says, I have become all things to all men that by all means I might save some. Did y'all hear that? You can do it all and still not reach everybody, but you got to at least try. And you've got to embrace the things that you don't know. I'm proud of Lily Baptist Church because when the pandemic hit, this church embraced something it did not know, got a website put up, got social media, started streaming online. All that stuff happened, but you were trying to say we can reach people another way. We have to continue to do that. As the world changes, as the world moves, as it transitions from one thing to the next, we've got to be willing to become all things to all men, which means we have to have strategies for all of our people. There's a strategy that we may have to come up with for reaching our seniors. There's a strategy we may have to come up with for reaching out to our sick and shut in. There's a strategy for our youth. There's a strategy for our young adults. We can't just think that on Sunday morning, what we do here touches every generation. I will tell you it doesn't, and I'm going to tell you why. Because when I prepare a sermon, I am very cognizant of the fact that on every Sunday, I am listening for the voice of God to tell me something and for me to comprehend it and to put together a sermon, watch this, that I need to deliver on any given Sunday to as many as 6 generations. Not only am I trying to deliver a message for 6 generations, I'm trying to deliver a message for at least 4 to 5 levels of education. So there are some words I don't use. There are some phrases I try not to use. I try to explain everything so that if a child hears it, they understood what I said. That's hard. And I'm trying to do that from the pulpit, but the church is not always capable of doing that just in the worship service. There's so many different people, so many different generations. And if you think church has to be just one way and it's cookie cutter, it's not going to work, okay? So here's some engagement channels. 1, large gatherings. That's the one we're used to. We're used to come on Sunday morning, you've got a large gathering, everybody is here. This is an engagement piece, and you're hoping that you're engaging with people. And by the way, we've seen a shift. Wasn't in my notes, but I'm going to have to tell it. You go back 70 years ago, everybody participated in worship. Somebody would be the musician, we grab a hymnal, everybody sang. Then you got this guy named Tommy Dorsey who comes along and creates what is called a gospel choir, gets this young girl named Mahalia Jackson, 16 years old, to sing for him, and they start singing songs that are not in the hymnal, that are a lot more difficult to sing. It was beautiful sounding, but what happened was, instead of everybody participating in worship, we became spectators and just watched the choir. So many of people in our churches today don't even know how to worship. Okay? So it has become a spectator sport. So you've seen now some churches are like, hey, when the deacons get up and they do devotion, they want everybody to participate. Or hey, if a church has a praise team, we want everybody to participate. You know, I got tired of this. I noticed it. I noticed people not participating in worship, right? This was probably 13 years ago. And so when we started preaching and using the screen in the church, I made sure every song we sang, we had lyrics for. There was no excuse for you to say, I ain't singing because I ain't know the words. Even when we sang from the hymnal, the lyrics went up on the screen because everybody can participate. Everybody can worship. Okay? So large gatherings, we got some work to do. You can do smaller groups. A lot of times that's Sunday school in our churches, or men's group or women's group. Face-to-face interactions with people, video meetings. We have that available to us now. If you got a smartphone, you can have a video meeting with anybody. Mail, email, phone calls, text messaging, website, social media, smoke signals, carrier pigeon, whatever you need. There are channels that you can employ to engage, and you may have to learn which channels are going to work the best in your church by finding out what people are actually doing. We have a Twitter account, where it's called X now. But how many people are actually on Twitter that are part of our church? Maybe that's not the one for us to have. Okay, here's one that I'll tell you. A lot of churches focus on Facebook because that's what they know how to do, and Facebook is free. But generationally, if they're like 40, maybe 45 and below, they're not on Facebook. They're on Instagram. And if they're not on Instagram, they're on TikTok. So you can, you think you're reaching the whole world through Facebook, but you're not. You're only targeting one particular generation. So these are things we have to consider about engagement channels. Yes, we have to have engagement, and we have to think about what are the ways we're going to do it. Okay? Along with, watch this. We've been talking about engagement in the church. We've been talking about how do we engage with visitors when they come in. We have to determine what that engagement looks like. Is it a handout? Is it an invite card? Is it a peppermint? I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, that has to be the engagement channel that we're starting to interact with people, okay? Moving on. So, empowering engagement. Simple tasks can have major impact. Simple tasks can have major impact. First thing you're going to need to do is make sure you're prepared to systemize ministry tasks. You're going to need to be prepared for that. What do I mean? When I came to Lily Baptist Church, I found out a ministry task, an engagement task was happening, and I didn't quite know the system, but I'm glad that Mrs. Grant taught me the system. The engagement was that emails were going out once a week. And the emails had in it what's being preached and what's being taught at Bible study and all the other things that go in, announcements, all of that. So once I found out that was happening, I was like, oh, great, let's do that. And so I started preparing emails, and then I got one of the emails to her really late. And she had to let me know, I normally send that out like Tuesday. I said, oh. So I realized I needed to know what the system was. The system is, Reverend Manuel, when you finish preaching on Sunday, you need to already be thinking about what's going in that email. Okay? To make sure it gets on time, to get where it needs to go. And I know it was late because one of the deacons called me and said, what are we talking about at Bible study? I was so embarrassed. But you got to have systems in place. What's the system when a visitor comes? What's the process? What's the process when a person comes to give their life to the Lord? What is the system that is in place? So you're going to have to make sure you think about systems at some point, okay? Systemize your ministry tasks. But they need to be simple. They need to be simplified. You want to simplify your ministry tasks so that anybody can participate. And sometimes it's just, hey, this is something I used to say all the time, and I still do. And I believe it myself. If somebody crosses your mind, pray for them, call them, text them, reach out to them. It's people that they've crossed my mind, and I immediately pick up the phone and say, hey, you've been on my mind. And they're like, I can't believe you called. Because the Lord was leading me to do that. But you know what? It creates engagement. It creates engagement when you would not have ever called before or texted before. Now, the fact that you as a member reached out to another member, you're now creating a connection between them and the church. Engagement is very powerful. So you want to make it simple. Hey, somebody's on your mind, call them. Hey, look around. Whoever's not here, y'all reach out to them this week. See if anybody was sick. Hey, here's one of the things we did. We took the entire church roster, all of the church members, divided them by alphabet, gave alphabet to the deacons, a certain set of alphabet, and they were responsible for checking on the members and just reporting back once a month what's going on. You got to encourage it. You got to encourage people to know that they can participate in ministry. Everybody in here can participate in ministry. You can do it because ministry is service, so serving others, hey, call them up, see how they're doing, pray for them. I mean, that's a powerful thing. You can say, hey, like I did this past week, if you are on social media, you see what's going on with the church, like it, share it, because you have more people following you than there are people at church. So you have an opportunity to participate in ministry. You need to celebrate ministry tasks. You got to celebrate them. You got to be willing to just be excited when somebody says, I received a card in the mail from the church for my birthday. Or my name was mentioned when they called out birthdays, or so-and-so came by to see me. Oh, my sister, I'm so glad they did. You need to be willing to celebrate those ministry tasks, whatever they are. There were a lot of ministry tasks over the years that started being done that I had no idea were being done at our church, because for years I just kept saying, do something. And people just started doing stuff. And it was wonderful. But once you systemize everything, you need to measure. You need to measure. We have a new email system that we just set up for Lily Baptist Church. When the email goes out, it will tell us how many people opened the email, how many people clicked the links in there. It'll give us statistics so we can measure and see how well we're doing. So being able to measure how many visitors came, how many of those visitors came back, how many of those visitors actually joined the church. We got to start measuring some things. So you want to measure your ministry tasks as well. Does this make sense to y'all? Can I keep going, or y'all got questions and comments? All right, we're going to keep going. Here we go. Empowering engagement. Now, outreach, evangelism. Ooh. The doors of the church open both ways. Did y'all hear that? The doors of the church open both. Doors of the church are open. If you want to, you can come. The doors of the church are always open because we're always out there. It opens both ways. This is Matthew 28, 19 and 20. Go ye therefore and teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe whatsoever things I have taught you, and lo, I will be with you always to the end of the age. Amen. He said go. And so we've got to get to the place that we understand outreach, specifically evangelistic outreach, is what we're supposed to do. Did y'all hear what I just said? Evangelistic outreach, meaning we're looking to accomplish that great commission. We're looking to introduce somebody to Jesus. Now watch this. We're going to break down 3 types of outreach, 3 types of evangelism. The first one's going to be personal witnessing, then congregational campaigns, and then community canvassing. Okay? So let's jump in. This is Acts 1 and 8 under personal witnessing. But you shall receive power when the Holy Spirit has come upon you, and you shall be witnesses to me in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria and to the end of the earth. That's Acts 1 and 8. He said, you shall receive power when the Holy Spirit has come upon you. So when you gave your life to the Lord, you got the Holy Ghost. He's living down inside of you. You are empowered. Watch this. To be, not go, not just go, but be a witness. Y'all hear what I'm saying? Which means my words are a witness. How you talk, the things you talk about when you're at work, when you're in the neighborhood, when you're in the community, when you're dealing with people. If your conversation is not seasoned with salt, if your conversation is not edifying and building people up, and you're always tearing people down, and you're gossiping, and you're a talebearer, and you're a liar, and all, you're not being a witness of God. So your words are a witness. And sometimes people will acknowledge who you are and acknowledge the God in you just by the conversation you have. They may not even know that you go to church, but they'll say it's something different about you. Okay? Because you've got words of hope, you've got words of grace, words of mercy, words of forgiveness. You've got all this Jesus vocabulary down inside of you that if you allow it to affect your life and actually affect the words you use, it will be a witness to somebody who needs to know. Okay? Guess what? My works are a witness. My words are a witness, but my works are a witness. I mentioned in the sermon where, the scripture talks about, do everything as unto the Lord and not unto men. Well, your works, how you work, the kind of things you do, and some of the things you don't do. That you don't go along with foolishness. When you see foolishness, you decide, I'm not participating in that. But when you decide to do things well, when you decide to do things with excellence, when you decide to be an example and not lower yourself to the level of mediocrity of those around you. It happens. You go into a new job thinking, oh, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to show up on time. I'm going to do my best work. You find out 80% of the people in there shirking, and you start shirking with them. But if you are doing godly works, it's going to be a witness. Okay? And people are going to know there's something different about you. Then, my ways are a witness. Now listen. I know. Some of us got some ways about us. Okay? I had some ways about me, and the Lord had to work on me, and I still got some ways the Lord is working on. For those of you who think that you get to be perfect, you will once he comes back. He says, he who has begun a good work in you shall complete it until the day of Jesus Christ. Until Jesus either comes back and picks you up, or Jesus comes back and picks all of us up, he's going to still be working on you. So you are not perfect. So you got to worry about your ways. Are you narcissistic? Are you a hater? Are you a kind of person that's always scheming? Are you a manipulative person? Are you a kind of person who has always got something negative to say about somebody? And people know you. Oh, let me look it up. I'm going to look it up. I got to look it up. I'm so thankful for Google right now. I just need to know where the verse is. Proverbs chapter 20, verse 11. Proverbs chapter 20, verse 11. Let me get there. Write that down. I want you to write it. I want you to know it. Listen to this. Even a child is known by his deeds. King James Version says his ways, whether what he does is pure and right. If you can look at a child and determine what kind of person they are and what their ways are like, how many of y'all think y'all fooling everybody? And if you think that your ways don't need to change, the Bible says that, God's thoughts are higher than our thoughts and his ways are higher than our ways. We need to be trying to do things his way. So the way you carry yourself, your ways, that's an alarm. Your ways are important. And all of that is a part of your personal witness. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you that one mean and hateful person, and then all of a sudden you decide, with your mean and hateful self, why don't you come over to my church? Ain't nobody coming. Nobody. You want me to pray for you? It's some folk you don't want them to pray for you. You don't want them to pray for you. I'm just going to put it out there. You don't want that to happen. So personal witnessing is important, but we don't really do it. How do I know? At? There's supposed to be a picture there, y'all. Well, the other pictures, they're back on the first picture. The first picture shows that 55%, which is more than half, of people who claim to be churchgoers, and this was by Lifeway Research, have not shared their faith within 6 months. We talk about how we serve in the Lord and how we want people to know who the Lord is, but more than half the people in our churches won't even share and talk to somebody about Jesus. Look at this one. Americans are open to spiritual conversations with friends and strangers. 66% openness to a conversation about faith. 66% of people are open to a conversation about faith with a friend. And 51% are open to a conversation about faith with a stranger. People actually want to hear. 80% of people who don't come to church would come to church if somebody invited them. But what we do, we don't do it. We don't This is our personal ability to influence the lives of others. I'm talking, look, 25% of the 66% said they're open. The other 41% said they're very open. There are some people who are waiting on you to talk to them about, hold on. To talk to them about faith or about the Lord, not you taking some scripture and browbeating them. Because we always want to talk to the one that's doing bad. Come on here, Uncle Buck. And then you get Uncle Buck over there. You need to put that bottle down. You need to this, that, and the other. Because the law said, he ain't asked for no browbeating. This man needs to know how to believe. Because we have a tendency to try to fix folk. And the only one that can fix it is Jesus. 65% openness to talking about having a relationship with God. It's only 1% difference. They want to hear about faith, and they're also interested in hearing about having a relationship with God. 66% openness to a conversation about the Christian faith. They just, not just faith in general, but the Christian faith, and they want to know about having a relationship with God. With a friend and with a stranger, either way is more than 50% of folk out there. Your personal witness is powerful. Your personal witness is powerful. Let me give you a reason why your personal witness is so powerful. Because I don't know everybody. I don't know who you're connected to. I don't know who you have relationships with. I don't know anything about them. You have the potential to reach way more people than a pastor does. See, what we've done is we've gotten to this point that we think of pastor as being like the celebrity, and people are going to come in because the pastor's so good and sounds so good and all this, that come hear our pastor. We don't actually do any personal witnessing. We just say, come hear our pastor. There are churches that don't have a pastor who are saying, we're going to be all right once we get us a pastor. I'm going to let that hang there. So let's talk about congregational campaigns. This is the one we know the most. This is the one we do the most, and we rely on it. This is Luke chapter 14 and 23. Then the master said to the servant, go out into the highways and hedges and compel them to come in, that my house may be filled. Go out into the highways and hedges and compel them to come in. Go out into the highways and hedges and compel them to come in. But even with this, even with congregational campaigns, they don't work if you don't market, if you don't equip through grassroots efforts, and if it's not gospel specific. What am I talking about? When do people hear about your church? That's marketing. And we live in the marketing age right now. There are people who are multimillionaires and all they're doing is marketing. They've gotten to the point now that they are influencers, meaning they have oh so many hundreds or thousands or millions of people who follow them online, and there are companies that are paying them to just walk across the screen with their product. So marketing. And you have to stay in front of people. You have to constantly do something. You have to, like right now, we don't have nearly enough stuff on our social media. We're not posting on a weekly basis. We're not posting on a daily basis. We're not posting at the time that people need to see us, because out of sight is out of mind in this day and age. You have to be present. So there has to be marketing. There's got to be, every time you have an event, you got to use those grassroots efforts to help. Yes, you'll make some flyers, but you got to put some flyers in people's hands and say, go take these. Go put these somewhere. Hey, anybody want to take one of these, put it up at your bulletin board at work? Anybody want to take one of these and hand it out? And you need some more copies? We have to empower people to actually go out and do this stuff so that they can compel people to come in. And it might be a flyer, it might be a radio ad, it might be a TV ad, it might be, I don't know, showing up at an event and handing out flyers saying, come to Lily Baptist Church when you're doing voter registration. It's all of those kind of things that are marketing. Your church should always be marketing something. Even if it's just, hey, we're a church and we're a great place for you to come. You don't always have to ask for nothing. but at least be seen. Here's why this is so important. We're not always gospel specific, and that's where the problem comes in. We're program specific, we're good worship service specific, but we're not gospel specific. Oh, we having our youth day. Thank you for everybody who made it a success. Well, what was the measuring stick? What were you measuring that by? By how many people made a contribution? How many people showed up? What was you measuring? Were you actively trying to create an environment where the gospel is being shared? I participated, the Billy Graham Evangelistic Society came to Auburn, Alabama, and they dealt with Auburn and Lee County and surrounding counties, and they put on a huge event. They took over the stadium, not the stadium, the basketball arena at Auburn University, and weeks, months before this event, there were all kinds of meetings and planning meetings. There was training. There was making sure that every person that volunteered knew how to share the gospel, that every person who volunteered knew what the process was, that every person that volunteered was reaching out to people in their community to invite them. That Coliseum was packed. And the whole point of the entire night, with everything they did, they tried to hit everybody. They brought in one of those heavy metal gospel groups, and they were out there in their hair swinging, and then they had the Christian rap artists up there, and they were doing their thing, and they had somebody else up there, but all of it was pointing people to Jesus and him dying on the cross. It was very gospel specific, and that night, thousands of people came forward. What would happen if we started saying, maybe once a quarter, one of our special occasions? I forget once a quarter, maybe twice a year. Twice a year, we have two very specific things that we say as a church. We want to go out and compel people to come in. We're going to market it. We're going to make sure that all of our members, grassroots, they are participating. Everybody's inviting. They come in, and everybody knows you're inviting people for the purpose of them hearing the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's gospel specific. Because a lot of the special days we have, if you go back in time, they were fundraisers. Okay? And the sad part is, not only were they fundraisers, I don't know how nobody caught on to this, but we were swapping the same dollars. Come to our church. Well, I represent with $10. Okay, I go to your church. Well, I represent with the same $10. You know? It was we were just swapping dollars. But nobody was getting saved. But we do need congregational campaigns. You need the person stuff, you need the congregational campaigns, and your congregational campaigns need to be gospel specific. But then there's this: community canvassing. Acts chapter 8, verses 4 through 8. Can somebody find that for us? Oh, I'm making good time. I feel like I'm getting somewhere. Acts chapter 8, verses 4 through 8, and can I have somebody go to James chapter 2, verses 14 through 18? So if I can get a person to come to the microphone and read for us Acts chapter 8, verses 4 through 8, and then James chapter 2, verses 14 through 18. Somebody's coming.
Okay, this is Acts chapter 8, verses 4 through 8. Therefore they that were scattered abroad went everywhere preaching the word. Then Philip went down to the city of Samaria and preached Christ unto them. And the people with one accord gave heed unto those things which Philip spake, hearing and seeing the miracles which he did. For unclean spirits, crying with loud voice, came out of many that were possessed with them, and many taken with palsies, and that were lame were healed. And there was great joy in that city.
Wow, thank you. There was great joy in that city because somebody went to the community. Somebody actually left the church and went to the community to talk about Jesus and to be a Christ follower among the people. They saw what he was doing. He did some miracles. Hey, some of y'all don't realize the little things that you think are not that big a deal may be huge for somebody else. You might be the miracle they're looking for. Reverend, what you talking about? Well, I'm talking about, you went to somebody's house, for example. They were having problems. Their AC wasn't working, and you just happened to be an AC mechanic. Or you go to somebody's house and they need some help, but they don't know who to call, but you know somebody who works in that particular area, and you give them a phone number and say, call this person. That's a miracle for a lot of folk. Just to have somebody provide some kind of help and assistance, but at the same time, they went everywhere doing what? Preaching the gospel. Which means we've got to know how to preach the gospel. We've got to know how to tell the story, okay? So that's Acts chapter 8, verses 4 through 8. Targeted evangelism is really what that is. You target a community, and you say, I want to reach that community. If we said, make sure I don't mess this up, Brooming Heights? Broomit? Thank you. If we said that this is the community we want to target, then we come up with a plan and we target this community. And listen, targeting a community, I want to caution you on this. Sometimes when we go out and do outreach and evangelism, we want to come from a position of benevolence. So we want to reach people who are less than us. It's rich people going to hell too. They need Jesus. So don't just think, well, I just want to, because Greater Friendship, where we were located, there are housing projects down the street. And people always thought, well, ain't nobody reaching out to the projects. No, we did that. Now we're reaching out everywhere else. We're not just going after the projects. Okay, we're going after everybody. We're going after city council people and anybody else because they need to know Jesus too. So, when you target the whole area. Do some targeted evangelism if you're going to do some community canvassing. Targeted missions. Let's go to James 2:14 through 18. You got that one?
James 2:14 through 18. What doth this profit, my brethren, though a man say he hath faith, and have faith but not works? Can faith save him? If a brother or sister be naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you say unto them, depart in peace, be ye warned and filled, notwithstanding ye give him not those things which are needful to the body, what does it profit? Even so faith, if a man has not works, is dead being alone. If a man may say, thou hast faith, and I have works, show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works.
Targeted missions. This is what I want to get to, and I mentioned it earlier. If all you did was fed people, but you didn't share your faith or try to talk to them about Jesus, you're doing the works without faith. And if you see people who are in need and you just go and try to encourage them, the Lord gonna work it out. He'll make a way somehow, but you don't find a way to help them. You're doing faith without works. Faith without works is dead. Works without faith is just as dead. So if you think that you're really doing something because, we fed so many hundred people, or we gave coats out to so many hundred people, but you never shared the gospel with them, you weren't really exercising your faith. If you never mentioned Jesus, never invited them to come to church, if you're doing some kind of mission work, whatever that mission is, whether it's visiting the sick or adopting the local nursing home or adopting the local school or reaching out to this group or that group, if all you're going to do is, feed them and all that and make donations and all that, but not invite them, not share your faith with them, it's dead. That's a dead activity. I need to put that on the slide after this. I'm going to put it on there as a dead activity. I'm going to put it right there. Okay? There's got to be gospel presentations. Somebody needs to be prayed over and prayed for who's going to be the one sharing the gospel. You might go out 2 at a time. You might go out 3 at a time. And when you go out, you have a designated gospel sharer, and you have a designated prayer person, and you have a dedicated Bible carrier to make sure we can find the scriptures. You got to do whatever you need to do to make sure that somebody knows how to share the gospel. Somebody got to know how to do it. There has to be a gospel presentation. Now, I know that as preachers, sometimes we make the gospel sound mysterious and spooky. But it's actually very simple. It's very simple. God created you. Sin separated you from God. God restored the relationship by sending his son to die to pay the penalty for your sins. And if you will trust in him, you will be saved. That's the whole gospel. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. There are some verses in the Bible. John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. That's the whole gospel. Let me see. Is it Titus? I want to say it's Titus. It's one of my favorites. I had a chance to preach this once. And I say a chance because, God he's very particular about, there are times I wanted to preach things. He's like, no, you can't do that. I'm about to Google it. It's a verse that says, great is the mystery of godliness. Great. That was in 1 Timothy. 1 Timothy 3:16. That's what it was. I knew it was a 3 and a 16. 1 Timothy 3:16. Watch this. It's the whole gospel. You're going to love this. 3. And without controversy, great is the mystery of godliness. God was manifested in the flesh, justified in the spirit, seen by angels, preached among the Gentiles, believed in the world, received up to glory. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. Hey, my brother, have you ever had a personal relationship with God? What you talking about? Well, see, here's the thing. God created all of us. And because he created us, when he created us, he said this is good. He said that it was very good. But unfortunately, we did some things that don't line up with what God's standard is, and that's called sin when we don't reach his standard. And so, because of sin, there's this thing that happens to us called death. And it's an eternal death. It's not just where your body dies, but it's an eternal death. But God, because he created you and he loves you so much, he decided to fix the problem. He sent his son Jesus down to pay the penalty for all of your sins, for all the things you've done wrong. And the Bible says if you would just confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart God has raised him from the dead, you'll be saved. Now, I just shared that story with you. Is that something you're interested in? I'm ready. I'm ready to turn the corner right now. Let's go ahead. Take me to the water. It's sharing the gospel. So we have to learn how to do gospel presentations. Okay? Walk the Roman road. Romans 3:23. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. Romans 5:9. There is none righteous, no, not one. Romans 10:9-10. But if thou shalt confess with thy mouth the Lord Jesus and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. 3 verses from Romans. Actually, it's 5. I skipped a few because I couldn't remember them at the time, but it's called the Roman road. Okay? So you can Google it, the Roman road to salvation, and it's all over the internet. But the point is, when we're ready to talk to somebody about Jesus, when we're ready to talk to somebody about having a relationship with God, it's not self-help. It's not, God will help you get your life right. No. That's not what we're offering. We're not offering to get your life right. We're offering eternal life. So I need to make sure you understand that transaction first. Okay? Am I at the end? Oh, no, I'm not. Here we go. Empowering evangelism. I think this is the last one. Empowering evangelism. You got to step out on some courageous faith, y'all. Step out on courageous faith. It takes courage to share the gospel. It takes courage to talk to somebody about Jesus, especially when you're out in public and you don't know if it's okay to talk to people about Jesus. You don't know if it's all right at work or in this particular setting or that particular setting, and you don't know if that person is going to receive you or not, and you're worried about rejection. I mean, it's a lot of things that go in there, but sometimes you just got to have some courageous faith. You got to just have some courageous faith. I did not have courageous faith one day last week. I was leaving the post office. As I was walking out of the post office, I had a song in my head, oh, the Lord, and I looked, and this car was coming. I wasn't going to like step out in front of the car, but just in case, I stepped back. And then I went to go walk around the car, and the young lady in the car said, I wasn't going to hit you. I said, I realized that because I was jumping back, but no, I wasn't going to hit you. I'm a good driver. I don't hit people. And it came to me right then, I should probably invite her to come to Lily Baptist Church. You know what I did? I didn't invite her. Why? Because here I am. I'm a man. This is a young lady. I try to make sure I don't have one-on-one interactions with young ladies, and I hesitated. And then she went on about her business, laughing and giggling because she almost hit me but didn't. And then I failed to invite her to come to church. We have these little idiosyncrasies about ourselves that will stop us from being courageous. So here's what we need to do as a church. We need to create an inviting environment. We need to create an inviting culture and an inviting environment. A place where when people come, they know that the people there want them to be there. A place where the people who are here are constantly inviting other people to come. I never lived in Tuskegee. I was a member of our church on the ministry staff for 25 years. I was the pastor for 16 years. I never lived in Tuskegee. I didn't know a whole lot of people in Tuskegee. If our church was doing well, it's because our members were inviting people to come. Because at one point, I lived an hour and a half away from Tuskegee. We had to create an inviting culture. During the pandemic, we saw it. Hey, so glad to be worshiping. They were putting in the comments online. So glad to be worshiping with y'all today. So-and-so invited me. I saw it in the comments. And I thought to myself, thank you, Jesus. Because I had no idea who you are, So we have to create an inviting culture and an inviting environment where when somebody comes in and they don't look like you don't clutch your purse. Or somebody come in, they sitting in your spot, and you got an attitude the whole rest of the service because that's where I normally sit. Or somebody come in, they're not dressed the way you think they ought to be dressed. You can't mistreat people. There are folk who have come to church. I talked to a pastor recently. He said, man, I had some people who were coming to church. It was a young couple. They kept coming and coming and coming. And then one Sunday, they stopped coming. And I found out why. One of the sisters in the church went over to the young lady and told her skirt was too short. Can I tell y'all something? The way we think people ought to dress for church, people don't dress like that no more. When my son got ready to graduate from high school, there was a controversy because most of the kids did not have black slacks and a white shirt, and they weren't on sale during that season in the stores. They were trying every way they could to go find black slacks and a white shirt. Most of these folk ain't got no slacks. They ain't got no modest dresses all the way down to their ankle. They don't have that. We need to be concerned about the person. not the outfit. And understand that when we start putting people in a box without even inviting them in, we're pushing them out. You got to create an inviting culture. And you need to, if you're going to do evangelism, you got to choose a model. If the church decides we're going to do an evangelistic outreach to the Brummett Heights area, we have to decide which evangelism model we're going to use. Everybody needs to get trained on it, and we need to all go do it together. Okay? We need to equip the saints. People need resources to help them. Sometimes that resource is something as simple as a Bible. Make sure you got a Bible. Here, get a highlighter, highlight these scriptures. You know where they are. Here's some little tabs, put on there so you can quickly turn to it. We got to make sure if you're going to say we're going to go and canvass the community, then maybe we don't go into every house. Maybe we don't knock on every door, but maybe we got those door hangers that we put on the doors so that when people get home, they see it and they're like, they put this on this from the church down the street. Let me go and check them out. We have to resource people. So equipping the saints, we got to overcome our personal barriers. Go there. Some people have already, and I said this before, made up their mind about what they're not going to do and what they're not going to say. Been in church their whole life and will not talk about Jesus. And I know some of that is because they haven't been trained, they haven't been equipped, and they don't know how. But it's some folk that they've already made it up in their mind. Right? And you going where? Oh no, it's football season. I ain't doing nothing on a Saturday. We've already decided we've got some personal barriers we're gonna have to overcome. And then once you make a plan, you got to work it. It doesn't work if you don't work it. So that's empowering evangelism. Step out on courageous faith. Okay, so I am going to close this because we are done. I hope and I pray that this workshop has been beneficial. Even if it's just something that tickled your mind enough to say, we need to think about some things we can do. But ultimately, I'm praying for the success of Lily Baptist Church. And I felt like this is what we needed to do during Bible study to make sure we got this content, okay? So I appreciate your participation. I appreciate you coming each night. I appreciate you encouraging other people to come. And I hope that as we move forward, God will begin to work with us as a church so that we can do ministry for his glory and our benefit. Okay? Let's pray together. God, thank you so much for your loving kindness and your tender mercies. And thank you for this opportunity to gather together. We pray, Lord, that you will minister to us and bring these things back to our remembrance. Encourage us, challenge us, God. I pray that as we leave this place, you give us your traveling grace and mercy, that you will watch over us and let us find our way home safely. And I ask, Father, that you will prepare our hearts and our minds to lift up your name in high praise on Sunday, that your name will be glorified, that your name will be magnified. Thank you, God, for what you've been sharing for us in this time. In Jesus' name, amen.